City from 68 to 70. From there, he went to UNIVAC as a software designer, and then later to Xerox as an operating systems architect. In 87, McAfee founded McAfee Associates, a computer antivirus company. He was the first to distribute antivirus software using the shareware business model. In 89, he quit Lockheed and began working full-time for McAfee Associates, which he initially operated from his home in Santa Clara, California. 2 years after McAfee Associates went public, McAfee sold his remaining stake in the company, now a subsidiary of Intel Corporation. And McAfee's now developed new cutting-edge antivirus, anti-surveillance systems. And he joins us today as a special website he wants to talk about to send folks for a new campaign to promote liberty. But he can give us the rest of the story. He's backtracked it on exactly what is happening with these mystery towers that we know some are Homeland Security, some are FBI, some are private, some are Stingray. But he's ferreted into the contracts themselves and discovered something. What's amazing is they sit up here like we're ignorant and go, we don't know what these towers are on CBS News, the FBI. They must be hackers. No, we got the documents in Seattle and other cities. They're Homeland Security. They're illegally stealing everything, and they have microphones listening to you. And Buckley Hammond filed a report. But we're going to skip this network break so we have plenty of time with John McAfee. John, first off, what's the best website of your constellation of sites for folks to go to with this new campaign to legalize freedom, as Ron Paul says? And then I want to get into this. And then also, you've been warning folks about the cloud. I want to get your breakdown on what was Kate Upton and all these women thinking, putting up their photos, their naked photos, their sex vids on a cloud, on a faraway server. What were they thinking, John McAfee?
Thank you, Alex. It's good to be here. I'd like to say I'm joining you from the office of a junkyard in the Appalachian Mountains of Southwest Virginia because the software I'm using to connect to you, Skype, is insecure and can be tracked to me within a couple of hours. And by the time I'm tracked, I'll be away from here. The first thing I want to talk about, Alex, is 2.5 weeks ago, it was discovered that there were 17 cell towers in the southeast actually, that were fake cell towers. They were, rather than transmitting phone calls directly to who you were talking to, they were planting software on the devices that you were using to connect. In the past 2.5 weeks, myself and my people have tracked down exactly what's happening. And there is only one company that manufactures this hardware. And it's mobile. You don't have to actually put a cell tower beside the road or on top of a mountain. You can put it in the back of your car and put an antenna on the top of your car and be anywhere. And they look and sound exactly like real cell towers. These devices are manufactured by the Harris Corporation in Florida, near Palm Bay, Florida. They're the only company that manufactures them. And they have a contract with all of their customers saying that the customer cannot talk about where they bought the equipment from or the fact that they own this equipment. Now, when I discovered this, I thought, that's really strange. Why would they do that? The only reason I can think of is that there are so many of them that if the American public knew to the extent that they were being spied on, we would actually, all get up in arms and do something about it. Well, I'm trying to do something about it. I've started a campaign called Legalize Freedom. You can go to Legalize Freedom Campaign at blogspot.com and read about it. What I'm trying to do, Alex, is get every town in America, at least one person who will volunteer using the Freedom of Information Act to demand to know what local law enforcement people are using. Are they using this equipment, and how many do they have? I suspect there are hundreds of thousands of these units here in America. Their only purpose, Alex, is to spy on us. They will transfer a call as if it's transparent, but at the same time, they plant on your device a piece of software which monitors every single call that you make, which reads all of your emails, all of your text messages, your contacts, and everything that you're doing. It turns on the camera, turns on the microphone. You are now watched 24 hours a day. Now, that came out 2.5 weeks ago, these 17 cell towers. It got some play in the technical press, but then it just disappeared. No one checked into it. My people and I discovered who it is, the fact that they had these contracts, and I do suspect everywhere in America we have these things, which means that all of us are being spied on constantly, Alex.
And of course, we then have parallel construction where they use the stolen data, the stolen video, audio, your whole databases that they scoop up, put software on your phone to basically control it. They then go lie to judges and don't even tell them where they got the fake evidence from. I mean, this is organized racketeering on the grandest scale ever seen.
Absolutely. And basically, Harris Corporation only sells to the U.S. government, the military covert agencies, the CIA, local law enforcement. And here is where the problem occurs, Alex, is once it gets in the hands of local law enforcement, you know for a fact that no matter what technology you have, if enough official people have access to it, the unofficial, the crooks, the thieves, the gangsters are going to have access to it as well. So not only are we being spied on by our governments, by the local police agencies, by the CIA, by our tax agencies, by everyone, it's now getting into the hands of the average criminal. You can buy one of these devices for less than $100,000. Install it in your car. You don't need much technical competence, and you can plant software. If you had one of these devices beside a freeway, you could infect tens of thousands of mobile devices every single day. And if we have hundreds of thousands of these devices here in America, then none of us have privacy ever. Once they have the ability to turn on your camera and your microphone, if your daughter has a waterproof phone and she's taking a shower, they can watch. If you're talking to a business partner, they can hear everything that you say. We have no privacy whatsoever. And what I want to do, Alex, is to demonstrate the depth that they have gone. If, in fact, there are thousands of these devices and possibly millions, certainly at some point we'll have to say, it's enough. I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore. Or have we gone over the edge and nobody gives a shit anymore?
Now, people do care, John. It's just that it seems to be so overwhelming that you could have an organized program, not just with Stingray. I mean, you're right, that's the big thing nationwide, but we got documents last year from inside the government in Seattle that caused a national news story, and the city council ordered it turned off. Of course, that never happened, where they put up fake cell towers, their own systems, microphones, camera systems, you name it, and we're running it through Homeland Security, through the local police department, even though it hadn't even been authorized. And then, again, they're stealing everybody's data, using it for prosecutions. They can also use it to plant stuff on phones or computers, as you've pointed out, Trojan horse people. And then they go lie in the affidavits. They go lie to the grand juries and don't even tell them where the evidence came from. I mean, this totally destroys the entire judicial system. You can't believe anything the feds say, and now the local departments are getting this. And for folks that don't know, let me give everybody a news flash. The people buy most of their drugs from the police in most big cities, at least units of them. Or you buy special equipment, guns, you name it, from cops.
Of course.
Okay? And, you know, so much of this stuff continues to come out. And so, yes, they already do have organized crime with this stuff. There already are organized crime hacking into people's things. This is a Pandora's box they have opened.
Right. The purpose, the government wants to do one thing. All governments will eventually do the same thing. They want absolute control over the citizenry. In ancient times, they controlled people by keeping them in poverty and giving them entertainment. In ancient Rome, everyone was in poverty, but they had the Colosseum. They could all go and get entertainment every single day. That's how they controlled the citizenry. Today, people are controlled through information. If the government knows where every citizen is at every moment of the day, if they know who you're talking to, if they know what you're talking about, if they know your dreams, your desires, if they know your inner secret life, which you divulge to at least some people, your wife, your children, your mother, your father, then they control you. And we have reached the point, Alex, where someone can turn a switch and we have gotten into the world's worst dictatorship. I'm not saying that the administration has a global plan to do this and they're all secretly talking about it behind closed doors, but no, you know what's coming. You know for a fact that once we are controlled, once we have no freedom of anything, when the government knows everything about us, someone's going to go, gee, we can use this. Why don't we just throw that switch and take...
But I've interviewed William Binney and all the other top NSA people. They say they've been using it for blackmail forever, everything you're saying, that it's now going panopticonic, surveilling everything, that it was premeditatedly designed for this, and that Snowden says they have data that would bring the whole government down. We know it's that the government basically ran 9/11. It's now coming out in the 28 pages with Saudi Arabia. We now know that it's indeed the government runs the narcotics, the snuff films, the little kids, everything. The organized crime runs the government at the top and set this up criminally to control the public and take over everything. This is an orchestrated worldwide takeover. I mean, look at Apple with factories with suicide nets and literal forced abortions. But again, they act liberal and talk with a lisping voice, so it's okay. I mean, these people know what they're doing, John. And you have absolutely broke down how serious it was. But William Binney called it premeditated totalitarian total takeover, or 1984 on steroids. Those are all quotes by him, and it is that. With helicopters and armored vehicles and checkpoints and forced inoculations, and your kids don't belong to you, and neighbors spying on neighbors. I mean, my God. Clergy response teams, InfraGard, spies everywhere. They have done it, and now the public is finding out it's all there. Before the establishment wanted it known, what do you think about the state of the world and where this is going?
Well, I think the problem is, Alex, people are afraid. I mean, I'm sitting here talking about it. I'm in an office at a junkyard in the middle of nowhere because I'm afraid of people retaliating. Fox News, I gave Fox News the opportunity to break this story. They thought that's great until they discovered that Harris Corporation was the corporation which, you know, has donated more to, in fact, they used to have their own television station, and they said, no, you know, we'll back away from this. People are afraid. You know, I'm afraid, really. You should be afraid. You know for a fact that what I'm saying now and what you're saying now is not liked by the people in power. And at some point, you know, maybe they're going to take some kind of action. And worse than an audit, you know, because that's the first thing they do. They audit you mercilessly. And then maybe you get vague threats. You know, maybe people disappear. But somebody has to speak out, Alex. That's the number one step. No one's doing it. We are all safe and secure in our womb. We have the technology at our fingertips to have pizzas delivered whenever we want. The world is at our fingertips, but we have no freedom. The freedom was taken away by these very technological devices that we depend on.
That's right, and they're going to take the chicken feed and the bait away. There's a piece of cheese out there on that mousetrap, but it's only to lure you in. And here's my issue. Most people in the government are actually freaked out by this as well. They don't like being brought into this conspiracy, this racketeering. They want to get out of it. It's not here to keep us safe. Our own government's funding al-Qaeda. That's all coming out, funding ISIS. People are really concerned, and they realize the only hope we've got is to say no to this and stop it. We should all be afraid of not doing what you're doing, John. Going public, what Ron Paul's doing, going public, what we're doing, what Drudge is doing. We've all got to speak out against this because it's crazy.
Well, people are saying things, Alex, like, well, it doesn't really matter if they know what I'm doing. I'm not doing anything wrong. That attitude is the most self-destructive attitude I can possibly imagine. It doesn't matter if you're doing something wrong. Who cares? I don't want you in my business, whether I'm doing something right
well,
or
John,
something.
That's like the people that would put, I'm going to Mexico for Christmas for a week and a half. We leave tomorrow and come back such and such. Look at all the stuff we got at Christmas. We got a new silver set. And then the thieves use it to rob your house. It's like saying, I'll get in a car because nothing to fear. It's Ted Bundy. It's not that you're a nice 16-year-old girl, so what do you have to fear? It's that Ted Bundy just pulled up. Ted Bundy. Okay, John Wayne Gacy, Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Jeffrey Dahmer runs the New World Order. It's like, who cares if Sauron's Palantir can see what I'm doing? It's Sauron. It's bad. A bad guy built this.
But someone has to take the first step. You've been doing it for years, Alex. I'm getting out here and putting my ass on the line here. You know, I am, number one, outing a defense contractor. Harris Corporation is one of the largest defense contractors, and certainly the largest in the world as far as spying is concerned. Developing the hardware and software to spy, hopefully on our enemies, but it's actually being used to spy on our citizens, ourselves. Someone has to take the first step. I'm asking people all across America, please volunteer. Send your name and address and to Post Office Box 60 in Finger, Tennessee. Finger, I chose that because the finger to the people who are trying to do this to us. Finger, Tennessee. The zip code is 38334, and volunteer your time to go to your local police department with a freedom of information demand saying, how many of these units do you have? I want to know. And we're going to collate them, and we're going to publish exactly the state that we're in. I think if we find out that there is nowhere that we can go where these devices are not listening to us, not tapping our phones.
Well, the last thing I want is for anything to happen to these devices. We don't want anything bad to happen to these devices.
We're on the march.